I have a gift for you too, Chris, today.
Oh, you do? Oh, my goodness. Look at this. All these teams are still kind of in it with the schedule halfway done, including your former bright future Suns who have gone down to the bubble, and their first two games, unbelievably, were by the same exact score, 127 to 125. But they got huge wins to start it off with against the Mavs and then against the Clippers back to back. And then it was like, okay, is this a flash in the pan? Is this? And they played the Pacers today, who had been very good with TJ Warren, and they won that one. And so now they stay undefeated in the bubble, and it's still an extreme long shot, but they're in it. They're in the mix, right?
I have a gift for you too, Chris, today.
Oh, you do? Oh, my goodness. Look at this. Now, do you know how long ago you abandoned them? I don't know how you're getting to claim them. I'm being dead serious.
But let's talk about the bright future Suns today, though. Devin Booker.
Yes.
What a magnificent player.
Oh, listen.
What
we
a
know
talent.
You have always loved Devin Booker. There's no doubt about it. But you also love Dragon Bender and Josh Jackson and everybody else.
I love Dragon Bender. I like Dragon Bender.
Everybody else.
And by the way, don't say don't say that I like Josh Jackson. You're making
Alex
stuff
Lynn
up.
and Josh Jackson and Dragon Bender.
You're
these
completely
are all,
making. No,
these
Chris,
are the bright future Suns.
Stuff up. I was never a big Josh Jackson fan.
Okay, they're fine. Well, let's throw ahead Josh Jackson.
I was a Dragon Bender fan.
The bright future Suns were a bunch of shitty young players and Devin Booker. That's who you loved.
Yeah, but sometimes that's all you need is that star.
What?
That's all you need is the star player. That's all you need is the star player, and that's what they have in Booker.
Right?
That's the hardest thing to find. You know this as a Grizzlies fan. That's the hardest thing to find is a star. You guys just got a young one in Ja Morant. That changes your entire franchise. Devin Booker is a guy that for the last 2 years was one of the best scorers, most talented scorers in the league. And now he has the supporting cast around him that has elevated him as an overall player, made him a better player overall. Ricky Rubio has changed him by pushing him off ball back to what he did in high school and in college, elevating those strengths. But really, DeAndre Ayton, he's that second guy. The second hardest thing to find is a second star. And DeAndre Ayton is turning into that. I can't get over how good Ayton has gotten at the defensive end of the floor. A guy at Arizona who looked utterly lost. Like he didn't know what he was doing on defense. It was confusing. I got confused about what I'm supposed to be looking at when I watched him on defense at Arizona. But what he did show is at least effort. And that's something that has translated directly to the NBA. He has fundamentals now. He communicates. He's in the right position. And he's actually an enforcer inside. You put that guy behind Devin Booker, who's now playing better defense than he ever has in his life because he has support on offense to alleviate his workload, with some wings like Mikal Bridges, who's been great on defense, Cam Johnson, who is way better than I expected. I did not like the Cam Johnson pick, but his shooting is for real. His defense has gotten better. Rubio, the veteran he is. Kelly Oubre is not even back yet. Dario Saric, who I have long loved since he was a prospect overseas, since he was a rookie with the Sixers, is finally in a situation where he can come off the bench and he can just run a little bit of offense through him. He can do a little bit of facilitating. This is a team with Booker and Ayton turning into what they are. They are not the bright future Suns anymore. They are the bright now Suns. They may not make the postseason.
And bright now is barely missing the playoffs.
They're the bright now Suns. They're here right now.
Oh, really? Okay, so the Suns beat the Pacers today, right? Their next three games are Miami, Oklahoma City, and Philly. Well, I didn't think they were going to beat the Mavs, the Clippers, and the Pacers back to back to back. So what do I know now, right? I don't know. Maybe they can. And all joking aside, as much as you and I have fought about the Suns over the years, let me say this: I saw them at the beginning of the year, and when I saw them and saw Monty Williams, he got them sharing the ball. I think they led the league in assists at the end of the year. That team did not play that kind of pop the ball around, unselfish type basketball. And they had added Ricky Rubio as their point guard. And here's another one that is not getting mentioned. And as far as I know he didn't play today, Baines. He's out. And that was, I mean, a great signing by them. Great signing by them. And he's not even there. And look at what they're doing.
You know who's been interesting for them? Campaign. Campaign had a really good year in the G League. I believe when we were talking about G League signings, one of us mentioned him as a guy you like to watch for.
No, you did and I told you he's a Memphis kid.
Yeah. And he had a good year in the G League, and he's played well in his couple games with Phoenix. And a small sample size, let's not overreact here. But Cameron Payne, only 25 years old right now, after struggling early on with Chicago and OKC and Cleveland, looking like a quality backup point guard to me. I mean, I watched his film in the G League. He looked like it. He's looking like it still now. The sample's getting bigger, and it's in bigger games. Looking like a quality player for Phoenix.
Possibly a late bloomer. He was a major. I live in a city where if I know who the best 13-year-old is, because it's just a basketball city. That's the way it works in Memphis. You know these kids by the time they're going into high school, and then you know which high school they're going to go to. Campaign was one of those guys I didn't even know about until his senior year. Yeah, and then he went to Murray State. Yep. Oh, major late bloomer, to the point where, I mean, he went to Murray State before Murray State, had the same kind of connotation that it does now with Morant, and they've had some players for sure. Yep. But Cam was, I mean, he was just going to he was going there in part because he wasn't. I mean, look, the Memphis Tigers, who were the school in town, they didn't even look at him. They didn't even recruit him. The other thing that's impressive, Kev, they've got Javon Carter on that team, and they drafted Ty Jerome.
Yeah.
I mean, that's 4 point guards and 2 that are young guys on your team, and they signed him, and he jumped both of them, and is playing well for them.
For sure. No doubt.
I mean,
it's been interesting to see. I mean, actions sometimes speak louder, and Phoenix going out getting Ricky Rubio, making the trade that on paper looks horrible, TJ Warren, and for cash considerations was to open up cap space for Rubio, signing and drafting all these point guards when you have Devin Booker. What pissed me off so much about the criticism of the past with him, people calling him a ball hog, a guy, hates to pass, all that. It's not what he is. He had to do that by necessity for that team. He's at his best when he's playing a hybrid role now because of the on-ball player he's turned into. But he's at his most efficient when he's sharing the ball in the backcourt, whether that's Rubio, whether it's a guy like Ty Jerome, if he's able to develop, or whether it's Campaign. If Campaign keeps getting better, who knows? But this is what elevates Booker when he can cut off ball, come off screens, come off handoffs, and just attack a defense that's out of position, in addition to the stuff that he has developed himself to be able to do on the ball. And for Phoenix right now, you look at their roster, they're still raw. I mean, they might not make the postseason here. If they drop one game, it significantly hurts their chances of even getting the 9 spot. They really need to go 8-0, 7-1 at worst to get in here. And so their odds are still slim despite being 4-0 right now. But I still just look at this roster right now, and despite some of the decisions that I didn't like this past year, whether it was the TJ Warren return or whether it was the Cam Johnson pick, I was wrong about Cam Johnson. Looks good. TJ Warren return, not good on paper, but Rubio has at least been super important for that team. It seems like James Jones, hiring Monty Williams with the roster that they're building, they are on a trajectory towards being a yearly fixture in the playoff race in the West. Whether they can elevate to that team that is a fixture in the playoffs requires Ayton to continue getting better. It's going to require Bridges to get better. It's going to require them to add another guy. But this team right now, with what they are, it's really fun to see what they've become in a short amount of time. Because this is, you mentioned some of their struggles during the season, and like we joke about them, they did deal with a lot of injuries, guys coming in and out.
Oh, for sure.
Baines was great for that team, and then he got hurt. Yeah. And now, because of what Ayton has continued to turn himself into be, they're still doing well without him. So I'm incredibly encouraged by what we're seeing from the Suns.